We are about to embark on an immersive journey through the corridors of our minds. Stand by as we prepare for departure.
Welcome aboard, everyone, to the Productivity with Peace of Mind podcast adventure. Our journey will begin in just a moment. Inhale deeply and exhale. Our voyage takes us on a captivating tour, diving deep into the intricate layers of our thoughts and imagination. Brace yourselves for the complexities of our evolution. For a safe and enjoyable journey, stay seated. Secure your helmet and protective goggles, and keep hands, feet, and legs inside while the ride is moving. Now relax and enjoy.
There's a lesson that I've been learning and continue to learn, and it hit me really hard this morning as I was doing morning writing and reflecting, and I just had to share this with you. Not even in real time, because this is something that's been a lesson for me over the last few years. But as it's kind of coming to this aha moment or this realization, like fully embodied in me this morning, I wanted to share it like while it's real, while it's alive in me, and while everything I've been learning over the last few years has been making so much sense and is just clicking in a way now that it not necessarily has in the past. And so I'm sitting there in my morning pages and I wrote this sentence: I'm done white knuckling, sweating, and grinding. Oof. So I just kind of sat there like, damn. Because I'm realizing how much tension I've been carrying and tend to carry, not just mentally, but physically. Like they're all connected, right? It goes from our mind to our body and from our body to our mind. Our jaws are tight, our shoulders are tensed up, we're bracing, we're anticipating, we're ready for a fight, we're ready for the monster to jump out from around the corner, always trying to stay ahead of the problems, stay ahead of our emotions, stay ahead of disappointment, stay ahead of unfairness and justice, right? We're like managing our fear and uncertainty in a way that's completely robbing our peace. And being someone who sits here talking to you about peace and about peace of mind, I still have this come up. I still have this show up for me. And I still get caught in this. And recently, someone that I care very deeply about was getting taken advantage of, and it's not the first time that it's happened. And so for me, I just immediately went into this like rageful, angry, like, frustrated they're not better at boundaries, frustrated that they're not better at spotting these things. Me coming from maybe a little bit too hypervigilant to them being a little bit too trusting. And it really, like, neither is where we need to be. There is a softness in the middle. Because, yes, like unfairness and injustice, if you are a person of high integrity and you want the best for those you care about, of course, that'll make you angry. Of course, your nervous system is going to jump in, grab the wheel, and go into this protective guard mode. We want to fix it, stop it, control it, protect them, and protect ourselves. We get angry because we don't want it to happen to those we love, and we get angry because we also don't want it to happen to ourselves. So we grip tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. And if you've heard from my classes or my podcast, if you've heard me talk about this idea of effortless intention, I talk about that balance of gripping, right, with our fists. So it's like imagining that fist getting tighter and tighter and tighter, right? Just that white knuckling feeling of forcing it with just brute force and muscling your way through because we think that's what's going to keep us and our loved ones safe. We overthink, overmanage, overcontrol, overprepare, all out of fear. We're so afraid of feeling that pain, of feeling loss, of feeling uncertain, right? We just talked extensively last week about uncertainty and how hard we work to avoid that. We're afraid of not being able to handle what comes next, right? If this is happening now, where does it end? I only have so much. I have limits. Will it take everything I have and more? Will I be left with nothing? Will I be left alone to die, right? That's what the survival brain is asking. And that can lead to a lot of feelings of panic and rage. And two things happened this morning. I was texting a very good friend and also doing my journaling and writing. And the theme in both conversations is this softness and how I myself want to step more into my feminine again and continue to work on that. And it's not about gender, right? Every single individual has a balance of feminine and masculine energy. And due to my history, I've spent a lot of my life more in the masculine. Not that I'm a masculine individual, but that I have the get it done, action, forward, brute, muscle through, right? Like just force your way to a solution versus the feminine energy of slowing down, softening, relaxing the body, relaxing the mind, trusting the process, being soft, gentle, loving, attracting in what you want, being almost magnetic, right, to those experiences that you want to have. And it's setting down our battle equipment, sliding out of that armor that we wear so tightly and letting go of that stiffness, moving, dancing, softening, relaxing, all to show your nervous system that you are safe. And I even asked myself in my journal when I was writing, can I feel safe again? Right? That's my inner self asking that question. And the answer came through immediately. It was a resounding yes, yes. Because how we see the world is not always the full truth, the full picture. Sometimes we've just practiced like looking for and experiencing danger for so long that our body expects it everywhere. Sometimes we've learned how to survive so good, so deeply in our nervous system, right? That survival brain is so in charge that that peace just feels unfamiliar, or it feels lazy or bad, or like if we allow it in, we won't be safe. Something bad will happen. I also started to think about all the quotes they talk about, like how nature doesn't rush, right? They say nature's never in a hurry and everything happens in the right moment, right? Everything happens as it should, right? In nature. I don't know the exact quote, but there's a lot of them out there that talk about that, how nature doesn't rush. And we hear it a lot. Maybe it has stuck around because of the truth in it. It makes me think of when I lived in Hawaii, and there are actual active volcanoes there. And those volcanoes, they're a real danger. They have real power. They wipe out roads, entire homes, entire cities, towns, right? Entire forests of trees, entire ecosystems. And yet it moves so slow. So slow. Like I literally had to stop writing just to sit in the chair here and like feel how that felt in my body. I was like, whoa. And that's when it hit me. Slowness does not take away our power. Moving slowly does not take any amount of the heat of the power from real lava coming out of a volcano, right? And traveling across. It's incredibly slow. That there is nothing anyone can do to take away that power. It can still transform an entire landscape, and it still cannot be stopped, no matter how slow it moves. It's not sprinting or going fast to prove its power, is it? And yet, for some reason, we have this idea that power and impact is made, or even maybe proof of our worth, right? Comes from going fast and urgency and getting there quick because maybe we feel behind. Like maybe if we relax, we'll lose momentum. If we soften, we'll be weak, we'll be vulnerable, we'll be open to the enemy. If we stop controlling every little thing, like we don't actually have control, right? But if we stop trying to control everything, somehow everything will fall apart. But I don't think that's true anymore. I think we're just exhausted because we're wrestling life to the ground, trying to force this idea of certainty that's just in our minds anyway. We're trying to force safety, force the outcome that feels more comfortable to our brain instead of being just open to what can happen. We white knuckle every emotion that comes through instead of allowing the emotions to move through us. Because those emotions are temporary. They come and go. It's just an emotion. The worst thing that can happen is you feel an emotion and it's going to pass. It's when we resist them that they stay alive in us. So when we're reacting to a feeling, like yelling or fighting or right, doing something out of anger or a lot of this upper body movement, right, throwing our head, arms, hands, yelling, rah, right, this upper body energy, it's resistance. We're resisting feeling that emotion. Think about when you felt a tough emotion, like fear, anger, embarrassment, disappointment, humiliation, whatever. And has there been a time where you immediately grip and you want to just kind of wrap your arms around it and wrestle it to the ground, right? Control it, make sense of it, analyze it, panic, brace against it. You want to pin it to the ground and be the one on top, be the one in control. But that resistance drains you more than the emotion itself. Because what it can do instead is let it rise, let it pass, let it move, trust ourselves, trust our body, trust our mind that we know what to do. You could even tell yourself, I can handle this emotion without becoming, right? Without identifying with this emotion. I can allow it to pass. The worst thing that can happen is this emotion and it will pass. That's a completely different way to live. And I've had moments of it and times of it, but I too am still working on this. And it's not giving up. It's not being passive. We're not caring about it, right? We're not just dissociating. We don't want to do that either. We're just having less force, less gripping, less living in survival, and more trust. That was my word of the year last year, trusting the process, trusting yourself, and trusting other people to handle their own lives, and trusting that not every single thing requires that brute force and hypervigilance. Yes, there's a lot of danger in the world, and I don't have to look for it every second. I can trust I can handle it when it comes. I trust I can take care of myself. In the grand scheme of things, we are safe. Everything is okay, and everything will be okay. We don't have to earn our safety through that tension and gripping and wrestling and white knuckling it to the ground to fight it. We don't have to constantly brace for impact and be ready for the worst possible case scenario. And we don't have to spend our whole life armored up. So maybe today, this looks really simple. Maybe you unclench your jaw, drop your shoulders, take a deep breath in and let it all the way out as your belly relaxes. Maybe today you allow yourself to move slower than usual and don't make it mean anything. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not weak. You are a powerful lava flow, moving slowly, intentionally and still can do amazing things. Maybe it looks like allowing yourself to enjoy the process instead of trying to rush through your life to finally arrive somewhere safe where you've made it and now you don't have to worry. Peace will never come from trying to control every possible outcome or every little thing happening around us. Peace comes from trusting ourselves enough to handle life as it comes. Because good and bad will always be there. When you're broke, when you're rich, when you're in this country or this state or that state. Good and bad will always exist. Duality in the world and in life will always exist. It does not mean your goals are not worth dreaming of. It does not mean your goals are not worth taking the first step toward. And it does not mean your goals are not worth achieving. And it does not mean you cannot be successful. It just means going in prepared, going in soft, going in loving ourselves because we can handle it as it comes. I know I can do this because I've done it before, and I'm going to keep practicing, and I know that you can too. And I'm not going to let old voices tell me to be afraid or try to control everything or be so careful or be worried about what's going to happen or who's going to hurt me. I'm not going to let those old voices sit up front in the car anymore. And you don't have to either. Thank you for being with me here today on this journey. It's such a beautiful and complex and messy ride, but we're here and we're alive and we get to enjoy the entire process. And if you know anyone else who's walking around with clenched fists lately, send them this episode. Let them know you're thinking of them because we're in this together and we can support each other through all of it. And come back whenever you need the reminder that slowness does not take away your power. Thank you for braving the inside of your mind with me. The better we understand ourselves, the more deeply we understand the world, and as our awareness grows, life just gets better and better. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to leave a review and share this with anyone else you think could benefit from listening. A quick reminder that the content shared in this podcast is for informational purposes only. I am not a licensed therapist, and the discussions here are not a substitute for professional advice. If you're dealing with a specific issue or need personalized guidance, please consult with a qualified professional. Your well-being is important, and this podcast is simply a platform for sharing insights and experiences. I appreciate you spending this time with me. Until next time.